Hello and welcome back to OCD Coded. We are doing different things today. We're just getting right into it because wow, I've been having a hard time overcoming my own OCD. So I was like, just get on and talk about it, which is the whole point of all this, to work on myself and use that to help other people. And so I found one thing I've been talking about and thinking about a lot lately is gaslighting by society. And gaslighting can be a whole buzzword that's been thrown around a lot as far as, oh, everyone's gaslighting. And it came from this original, like this play forever ago, where, someone turning down the street lamps, the gaslight slow by slow, like slowly by slowly, and then being able, and then saying they didn't see it getting dimmer and making the other person doubt themselves. And it makes me think of OCD and the doubting disease and how much doubt I've been filled with lately, but then how much anger I've been feeling. I've been trying to even give disclaimers to my clients, like you know, I'm in that kind of late stage capitalism kind of feel of everything of like, wow, what is happening? And how do we see through this gaslighting by society that essentially says we're wrong or bad if we don't fit into the box or, kind of all these promises that were made. It feels like, but in different ways that when they don't come true or when we have questions or when we, and that whole point as AI gets more and how to keep critical thinking around, but and also like to use our brains and to use our discernment of our intuition. It doesn't mean we can't use all these things as tools, but to remember that they are not the end all be all and to be able to find that inner map is how I think about it. And so I was thinking about talking more today about how to like identify gaslighting by society and kind of reprogram ourselves. And so that's kind of part of the decoding of OCD. And I think of that's part of how to make it into a superpower is to say, okay, like I have to almost think of OCD like a puppy and I have to give it a bone to chew on. And so I'm like, okay, you're really good at obsessing about things. And so let's give you something to obsess about. And how can we kind of focus this attention in that way? And so, but just really kind of giving it all starts with the pause as always. I have to pause anytime and be curious and then try to choose my response instead of just act and just reaction and how I can be gentle with my instinctual or primal self, but also choose to try the best I can, but also knowing life is trial and error. And so with this gaslighting by society, I just think of all the different ways where we're told what we're feeling is wrong or um, how, how everything is seems to be about how to tell us that someone else has the answer that we don't, whether it's a certain product or different thing, and how we can really, again, like choose that kind of thing and be aware of it, but without making it doubt ourselves. Or I guess, and the way I've been trying to think about it and say is, it's not that I can make it not doubt myself, but recognize the doubt and then still be curious and not believe that that doubt means I am like untrustworthy or I should doubt myself. And I think there's a common obsession with OCD about being unchecked. And so, how do I know if I'm a bad person or not? How do I know if I should feel this or not? How do I know? And it becomes so difficult. And I think about how to practice this. And the more, um, I search outside myself, I feel like everyone has to go through that. And that's what's really hard too, because I'm like, okay, we have to do that, but how to start to point back toward and realize that the answers are always within us. And so when I hear something that doesn't sound right to me or makes me feel bad, can I check, pause and wonder and be curious about, is this something that I should, that I want to believe? Is this going to be a part of my own mythology? Is how I kind of have been thinking about it, of how to create our own mythology about that's, be the main, how do we become the main character in our own story, but choose what we believe and then act on it. Um, and that just with OCD and the doubt and the uncertainty and that feeling of like, oh, there's this part of us that we can't know that other people see. But just like there's parts of us that other people can't see, there's parts that they can see that we can't. And there are parts that, we can see for them and that we are each other's mirrors and that that's part of it. And I try to remind myself that relationships are not here to make us feel safe and loved. They're here to make us more conscious. And I really do believe that. And when I look at it that way and like just in life that way, instead of, using all of my doubt or guilt as oh, I'm a terrible person. That's what my OCD wants to do. I'm able to start to notice how, I can say, okay, this guilt is just pointing me like, don't do that. Like, try my best not to do that again. And, but not that I am a shameful person. Like I can feel guilty and be like, oh, I don't like the way that felt, but know that there's still good within me and how powerful that feels. I think that's a Dr. Becky quote. I want to give her credit. But it's like, how to say into kids and to ourselves and our own inner child, I know you don't feel good about what you did, but there's still good in you, and how doing the best we can with the information we have at the time and how much OCD struggles with that. And so again, like, gaslighting by society. And I don't want to, I guess I am wanting to focus on society and how, like, in the sense of whatever, like that's part of the problem is it's not a person and it doesn't have to have values or ethics necessarily. And it's not, no one person is responsible. And we put so much emphasis on these beliefs, but then we forget about the humans underneath it. And it's not to say that everyone should just do what they want to do, and that also that we can make everyone feel better, but that, they're just like that our own personal beliefs and how we be able to assess our own morality as opposed to letting like outsourcing that and letting some other kind of place do it. And all of this stuff is, I think, what really challenges OCD, because we can want to grab onto something, whether it's religion or political ideology or different kind of things. And but how to like really, I just keep thinking like if how to think for ourselves. And if that is your, cup of tea, as they say, then go for it. But to know that it is, how do we like know that it's not the end all be all for other people? How do we, have our own connection with that thing and what we believe in, but then allow others to have their own way of doing it too? And these are questions that I really have been contemplating on and wanting to write a book about, with finding some way to do this. And I'm finding such writer's block about just how to make it into something, you know, that is entertaining, but also gets something to look at from a different point of view. And just wow, like all the doubt and all the fear and how it comes up with it. And so I've been trying to confront some of these different things and to not be angry, but to really realize, just even with money and debt and all the different kind of things, it's like we're told to strive in these certain ways. And then if we don't do it, that we're the problem somehow. And I just really, wanting to find ways to talk about that differently and be able to say, that like, um, it's that it's not that how can we be blamed? Like, how can we learn some of those things, like the house always wins? And so, why do we think we're going to win? And how can we see through this illusion and play outside the rules a little bit or make our own rules, but and still contribute in a meaningful way, to like humanity, but without that being I don't know, one person's view of it. How do we start to come together and collaborate more effectively with while still keeping our individuality? And that is the big question that I'm really trying to figure out, and how this kind of gaslighting by society will go. And it makes me nervous to even talk about it and see what happens. So, I'd love to know y'all's thoughts, and just want to start to put it out there and kind of confront my fears head on, which is the whole point of this, is that I believe expression is so important, and that, being able to think about it and talk about it and, be able and have people have different points of view about it, but that it is trial and error of discerning what is right for me, and what is right for me might not be right for other people, and that's okay. But that to really just think about the beliefs that I have and kind of be like, okay, who taught me that? Is it society? Is it my parents? Is it my belief? Is it what I want to believe? Does it resonate with me on a deep level? OCD will obsess about what does that resonant mean, but that's kind of the part of it of like I have to be like, okay, I think this resonates with me, and then I have to live that way for a little while, and then if I find that it doesn't resonate with me anymore, like how can I switch that up? But I just, part of the ending point of all this is, it shouldn't be expected to know all the answers on the front end. That there has to be a way to seek and make mistakes and learn from that. And like that redemption is so much better than perfection. That like, how can we take responsibility without taking blame and shame? And then, have redemption through that instead of expecting perfection or expecting someone to know how to do it exactly right the first time. So I'd love to know your thoughts about it, and I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Talk to you next time.